The Substance, directed by Coralie FARGEAT. Damn, that movie was wild. That's something my friend and I kept saying after we saw it. Right off the bat, this is one of my favorite movies of the year. It's obviously it just happened. It's very early for me, so yeah, I'm not too confident because there's a few other ones I really loved, but this was a damn good movie, and yeah, let's get into it. So The Substance follows Elizabeth Sparkle, who's played by Demi Moore, who is essentially a middle-aged woman in Hollywood who, or I don't know if she's still in Hollywood, but she has a past in Hollywood. They reference that she's won an Oscar or something, and she's clearly was a sex symbol, a symbol of beauty, and just like the it girl, you know. And now she's middle-aged, and she's hosting a morning workout show for women, like those aerobics type of shows from like the 80s and 90s. And she gets fired because simply she's too old now, and she's not beautiful enough, not sexy enough, and the producers, they want to revamp things to be more relevant and more popular. So they fire her, and obviously she's in a very vulnerable, insecure state right now. And throughout this state, she gets introduced to the substance. It's essentially an injection drug thing that it makes your cells create another version. And it's pretty funny or cool that she gets like a flash drive, and when she connects it, there's essentially like an ad with some like techno music, and it says that it all comes from you. The movie drives that idea in a lot, that this is you. This is just a more prettier, younger, better, perfect version. She just really is unsatisfied with the way she looks, where she is in her life, so she gives into the temptation and she does it. After the new version of herself is created, named Sue, played by Margaret Qualley, and they have to switch off every 7 days. So while one of them is living life for 7 days, the other is in like a coma state, and things get complicated really fast. I think only like or I think like the first 7 days or the first 14 days, it's like semi smooth. After that, downhill really quick. So that's the premise. The movie, it's directed and written by a female, so obviously there's going to be some feminist aspects here of beauty commentary on beauty standards in Hollywood and all that. And honestly, I was surprised that this movie didn't go hard on that. It's a very simple message, the message we all know, which is beauty standards in Hollywood is ridiculous and unrealistic, and it's unhealthy. It's not good. And there's always going to be men and women in power that are going to be driving that home, saying you don't look good enough, you're not good enough, and just say super rude and humiliating things to your face, or when you're in the same room, like all that. We know, we've seen it before. So that's not what makes this movie special. It's not a new message, it's not something like that. It's a good message. What makes this movie so good is the direction, the writing. Coralie Farge, the way she portrays all this is just insane. And you've probably heard by now, but this is a horror film, a body horror film, and it takes its time to get there. And I appreciated that. I appreciate that slow build of things getting worse and worse and worse and worse till the last act, where it's insane. Insane. The writing, the way she gets there, it's hard to articulate, but she does something that I love, which is the suspension of disbelief is like established very early, and the verisimilitude, like I feel like very early you're just locked in. You're just ready for anything that the movie's gonna throw at you. The realm of possibilities are endless, and it's all on the table. It starts off based in reality, but there's aspects that just seem like that's unrealistic, but not in a dumb way, more like in a stylistic, artistic choice. And I feel like because of that, even though the movie like escalates, it doesn't feel like two different films, because since the beginning, it's like this world is like established, this voice is established, and that's great. I freaking love that. Just the overall craft of this film is just so good. I mean, the sets, the production, the visuals, the sets are so intentional. The outfits, the costume designs are so intentional. No one's gonna get awards for costume design because I don't think there's any costumes that are particularly unique or anything. But it's more like the choices of color and how it works with the background, with the apartments, with with corridors. Like there's a very clear color palette, and it's just so visually striking. And again, that adds like the whole whimsical fantastical element that is like not exactly reality, I feel. And kind of like the movie Amelie. Like that movie is, there's nothing supernatural going on, but it's fantastical and whimsical because of just the way it's shot. What stood out to me immediately was the sound design. It's it's not just loud, it's just so specific. And it almost sounds like if everything was I mean, I don't know much about sound, so I don't know the technical lingo, but it's almost like if they recorded it with like ASMR mics, and just like everything is so like in your ear and so clear. I don't know how to articulate that. The way they used it was to make you feel uncomfortable. So even though the movie doesn't get like body horror like crazy till the last act, I feel like you're uncomfortable since the very beginning because of the sound design and just the way she chose to shoot certain things. Like someone eating, Dennis Quaid eating, is just so disgusting. It's in your ear. And then when someone turns on a shower, it's just so loud. And when someone like hits themselves, it just sounds like if they broke a bone. It just like everything was just so dialed up to make you feel uncomfortable. And I really like that. And like every shot of food does not seem appetizing. It just seems disgusting, even though it's not disgusting. It's just like, again, the way it was shot, so good. And the acting is amazing. Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. I haven't seen Demi Moore in many films. I just seen just a couple. I've seen Margaret in a few, and they both are amazing in this film. And you know, in horror films, there's not much for someone to do because it's just kind of like you got to just act really good, like really fear and all that, and shock and all, you know, all those types of things. So they did good in that department. But I feel like what made them shine was that there's certain sequences where they're tapping into like a very specific feral self-hatred and hatred towards others. Like there's just such emotion that comes out later that is so good. And that's where I feel like they really stood out in their performances. And Dennis Quaid is a scene, in my opinion, a scene stealer. My friend found him annoying and just hated him. I mean, he's a hateable character, but I found him so hilarious, so ridiculous, and I feel like I wish he was in it more. But I mean, the movie's not about him, you know. He served his purpose, and yeah, he was just so ridiculous and savage and disgusting and uncomfortable, and he's just a very cliche, disgusting, perverted producer. But I feel like Dennis adds a lot of humor to it, a lot of like flamboyant, bombastic elements. That's just like, yeah, I found it extremely entertaining. Yeah, he was great. The score was shocking. The score was like John Wick meets Blade Runner 2049. Like it was techno and just like I found myself like bopping my head a little bit to the beats. But then also it kind of meets Blade Runner 2049 because sometimes it would get very like horrific synth and just like guitar warping that was just really visceral, that would add like a feeling of dread, and I really like that. So yeah, great score as well. That's all I'll say. The last act, as I said, it was insane. Some people, many people I would suspect, will find it just ridiculous. They'll probably check out, think it was too much, think it was unrealistic, it was so dumb, blah blah blah. But I feel if you're properly immersed in this film, it's like it's beautiful in a whimsically dark, twisted way. And yeah, so yeah, I really like this movie. Really love this movie. I really love this movie, and I highly recommend it. And I hope this movie gets a lot of love. So yeah, check it out. Let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.